Dave Paulzini with 9 to 5 Sports. Going to be getting into the first NFL DFS video. We're going to be starting off with the Hall of Fame game. Preseason DFS is here, and I love preseason DFS. I know you guys do too. It is the easiest sport category, I guess, to cash in DFS. I love it. It's going to be a great one. Just kind of recapping some of the DFS coverages that we've already had. We'll start off with kind of what kicked off the 9 to 5 coverage. You know, we've kind of been the forerunner for preseason, not kind of, we have been the forerunner for preseason NFL DFS. It starts back in like 2018 with Javon Wims in the Hall of Fame game. We were touting him like crazy that day, or that night, I guess, if you will, on live back on Periscope days and whatnot, streaming to Periscope and YouTube. Was really touting him. He was like less than 5% owned that slate. Went for 89 yards and 7 receptions. That was pretty awesome. That was a great way to kick it off. You know, hopefully we can give you guys one of those picks tonight as well. But, you know, guys, I actually love preseason DFS. So in all seriousness, it is the easiest one to cash in. You know, there's a bigger edge in preseason DFS because it's not all like data driven. Well, it is. There are some definitely tendencies that we can spot, but it's a lot of looking through what beat reporters are saying and just kind of using your natural abilities with your eyes, seeing which players stood out in college and seeing kind of what the beat reporters are saying about those players and seeing how much playing time they're going to get. And that is key. This is like NBA DFS, where minutes matter in NBA DFS. Plays are going to matter in preseason DFS. If a guy gets a full quarter in the Hall of Fame game, that is great. But just so we know how to set our expectations, this is going to be a defensive fest, okay? If they have like the captain's mode out for this game and you can put defense in captain, you know, that's probably going to be the best idea in all honesty. You know, you could easily go 2 defenses and you're sitting pretty. Let's just look at the last few Hall of Fame games. Starting in 2019, Broncos versus Falcons, 14-10. That 2018 game, Chicago Bears 16, Baltimore Ravens 17. You know, that's pretty ugly. And then going back a little bit further, Cardinals and Cowboys 18-20. So it's going to be a lower scoring game. You know, if you're trying to do it over and under, that's up to you guys. You know, 30 points. You know, you could see it being under 30 points. You know, it's definitely going to be a lower scoring one. So just want to point that out there. But one of the things I like to look at, and one of the easiest things to point out, is coaching tendencies. Coaches, whether they know it or not, they tend to do the same stuff in preseason, okay? So we're going to be looking at Mike Tomlin, what he's done in the past 2 preseasons, and then we're also going to look at what Mike McCarthy did previous to showing up to Dallas, because, you know, he's a former Packer head coach. Obviously, there wasn't any preseason last year, so at least we still have some data to go off of there for Mike McCarthy. So that's fun, but also I love just going in and watching all this film on some of these, like, college kids. So it's going to be good. Let's get into it right now. We are going to start off with the Dallas Cowboys. All right, so starting off with the Dallas Cowboys, got Mike McCarthy pulled up here, highlighted, so we can see on this right-hand side his tendencies that he's done so far in the preseason. Now, I only went back the last 2 preseasons. You know, you don't have to go back too far, maybe 3 years, but decided to go back 2 years. We can see been much more focused on the pass, and that's not really with that much quarterback competition. If you think about, you know, 2019 Packers, there wasn't really much quarterback competition. I know that they were a little bit banged up in running back then, but that, you know, a lot more passing going on there in terms of yardage. We can see more passing attempts as well. And we can also see that more passing TDs as well. So, you know, you probably do want to favor receivers, not tight ends, but quarterbacks in this one. That's just going to be the route that we want to go. So the first one that I love is actually going to be Fiocco there. I think I got that right. The Stanford receiver. This guy really stood out to me when I was watching film. Really the only player that I think is going to get significant playing time in this game. And based off of what we saw from Mike McCarthy is that, you know, the receivers will get some run here. These receivers 6, 7, 8, 9, you know, and down, they're going to get some playing time, especially with some of those other guys kind of a little bit banged up. So yeah, I do expect Fiocco to get some playing time. Now, the thing that I like about him is that he really does have a strong ability to get open, really has great concentration on catching the ball as well. He really actually kind of reminds me of a former Green Bay Packer that Mike McCarthy coached, a little bit of Jake Kumerow. Yes, if you kind of just watch him, the way they move their body and the way they catch the ball and are able to adjust to the ball in the air, they're kind of similar players. And he's a guy that really had a strong senior season at Stafford in that 6-game season really was a guy that stood out to me in film. And once again, really the only player that stood out to me film-wise. So I really don't mind him as an option in this game. Then we look at Jaquan Hardy. So just looking at running backs, I know I just said that, yeah, Mike McCarthy didn't exactly run running backs too much. That's okay. You know, we still might want to teeter a little bit with the running backs. Now, we don't expect Zeke or Pollard to get any run in this one. We know that. But we do expect the remaining running backs to kind of split the carries. Now, there's Rico Dowdle, probably butchered that, Siwu, which he's most likely a fullback, guys. And then we got Jaquan Hardy, who actually looked really good on film. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of Tony Pollard and their ability to kind of make a guy miss right in front of them. I like that quick twitch muscle type of player. You know, I don't mind Jaquan Hardy. I would love to see some film on him, and I'm sure that the Dallas Cowboys are looking forward to getting some film on him in the preseason here. He's a guy that looked great. Went to Tiffin University, a D2 college. He had 2 out of 3 seasons with over 1,000 rushing yards. That's kind of the tall tale signs that players that at least played well in college, racked up those yards, are going to be able to do that in the preseason here as well. All right, so now we move on into another receiver, Aaron Parker out of Rhode Island. Now, this is going to be a second year, but with a lot of these guys, this is essentially going to be their rookie year, kind of their redshirt year. He's a guy that really didn't see any playing time. He's a guy that they're going to want to get some live film action in on. He is a guy that just needs to play a little bit more consistent, it seems like, based off of what I've seen from the beat reporters. He is highly athletic. He was another one of those guys that really did stand out to me film-wise, and he kind of has all the things that you would want out of a receiver. 6'2", 195. His last year in college, he had 1,200 receiving yards. You know, that's all good stuff. They're probably going to want to get a good look at him to see if he's a guy that they can move forward with, or if he's a guy that's going to be on their practice squad. Now, like I said, this is a perfect opportunity, Hall of Fame game, for a player like Aaron Parker to go out and actually get some significant playing time. That's a player that, you know, if you want to do some stacks with, I think it's going to be Ben DiNucci. I really don't mind that. Not a bad idea there. And then I do want to say Brendan Eagles, he's fine. Good rookie, big body receiver. He's a guy that could easily catch a red zone touchdown. And if he does that, you're seeing anything over 5 DK points in this game, you're going to love it. So don't mind him, you know, just kind of a dart throw there. But let's talk about Ben DiNucci. So when Mike McCarthy was the coach of the Green Bay Packers, we saw him kind of play all of his quarterbacks, except for Aaron Rodgers, about 3 quarterbacks. They all end up throwing the ball about 14 times, especially in that first game, which I'm kind of treating this as the first preseason game. So they all threw the ball about 14 times each for 47 total attempts. You know, that's not bad. If we can get 14 attempts out of someone like Ben DiNucci, who I think they're going to try to get a good look at in this game, we don't mind that. And, you know, you could easily run some stacks out there with Aaron Parker and Fiocco and feel pretty good about that. And that's kind of the route that I would want to go. Maybe put Fiocco in the captain spot. Hopefully he catches a touchdown. And then you got Ben DiNucci stacked up there with him, who's also going to get those points as well. So I really don't mind DiNucci. Obviously, we know he has played in the NFL. People love that storyline. We're going to see if that storyline holds true for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, guys, so we're going to move on into the Pittsburgh Steelers side of the ball, and I'm just going to be upfront with you guys. I don't feel as comfortable with the Steelers players as I do the Dallas Cowboys players. You know, I really do like Jaquan Hardy, and I really do like Fiocco there. Those are the two that I'd probably make a lot of my builds around, as well as the defense, like I said earlier. But obviously, you got to mix and match in there. You got to get some players on both ends if you're trying to take down a GPP, which is probably your best opportunity to do that. So just looking at the Steelers, want to look at the past 2 games of preseason for Mike Tomlin as the head coach. We saw that he had 3 quarterbacks throw for a total of 30 attempts. Now, if that tendency continues, which I kind of expected to, I don't mind that. But if we look over here, we can see that they did throw the ball a little bit more and more as the preseason went on. Obviously, with the first game, you're really just trying to get out of there without any injuries. So if we're trying to pick a quarterback, we'd probably want to go with a Dallas quarterback instead of a Steelers quarterback. That being said, I don't mind Dwayne Haskins. We already had Mike Tomlin coming out and saying that he does want to get some extended looks at Dwayne Haskins as a quarterback. Obviously, he's going to be playing for kind of the QB2 or QB3 spot, battling with Joshua Dobbs and then also Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph's an okay quarterback. They know what they have in him, and they know what they have in Dobbs. They do not know what they have in Dwayne Haskins, so he's a guy that could easily get maybe a 1.5 quarters in this game to, you know, really get that good look at him. So I don't mind that. He's the player that's most likely fighting a roster spot. Pretty good with that. Now, we could see Rudolph or Dobbs potentially, get in there and throw a touchdown, which we have seen a decent amount. I think they might draw up a couple of plays for their receiver too. So I'm not going to say James Washington, but we've seen Juju Smith-Schuster and we saw James Washington both have pretty solid preseasons the past 2 and 3 years. And I think they might have drawn up a couple of plays for them to see if they could contribute, and they got a good look. So maybe someone like Chase Claypool might get a couple of plays drawn up there and get taken out after the first series. Obviously, you're just trying to get lucky there. But all in all, just talking about Dwayne Haskins, don't mind him. If we're going to go with a quarterback for the Steelers, I would go with him. So now we're going to move on into the running back position. Benny Snell was the only running back to get kind of a significant workload in game 1 over 2018 and 2019. Had 13 carries in 2019. That's okay. I don't mind that. If we get a running back that's going to get 13 total touches, I don't mind that. And, they might try to get a look at Harris, but I also think they might try to get a look at Kalen Ballage. And Kalen Ballage is a guy that really was night and day better on film last year. I mean, I could not believe that this was the same player that used to play for New York. If they get that same look out of Kalen Ballage, potentially in this game, I don't mind that. Now, this is kind of just basing it off of what we've seen the Steelers do. They will bring in a running back. They also bring in a rookie running back, and the tendency is that they get a look at the rookie running back. Now, obviously, with those guys, we're hoping for like 5 to 7 rushing attempts. I don't think any running back for the Steelers is going to get more than that. You're just really hoping that they are able to do something with those rushing attempts. That's really it. And then getting into the receivers, there's really only one receiver that I loved for the Steelers. I shouldn't even say loved, decently liked. Obviously, if we're trying to stack, one of these receivers would be the route that I would want to go. Do consider them both long shots. So I already pointed out that kind of these second-year receivers, when it was Juju, when it was James Washington, I feel like they designed a couple of plays for them, and maybe that's the route that you want to go. Maybe Chase Claypool gets a solid series and is able to score. Just throwing that out there. But looking at receivers, we got Matthew Sexton. He's a guy that looked okay on film. Didn't really stand out to me too much, but compared to some of the other players, he did. He's a guy, though, that I do expect to be able to get open. He's a guy that I expect to be able to make 2 catches in this one. The targets have to come his way, but if we can get 2 catches for 40 yards or something like that, 2 catches or 3 catches for 30 yards, we'll take that. Like I said, anything over 5 DK points is going to be really good. Don't mind Matthew Sexton there. And then Isaiah McCoy. He's the one player that has kind of been standing out in camp. Obviously, I'm recording this on Friday before the preseason Hall of Fame game. But, guys, we already kind of know what to expect. We know which players have looked good. We know which players to be looking for when those beat reports come out. That's just going to be confirmation bias for us to go out and play them. I think McCoy is going to be one of those players that the beat reporters are talking up for the Hall of Fame game. He's one of those guys that also did look decent on film. His problem in college was health, but we look at his first 4 games of last season. 450 yards, 25 receptions, 5 TDs. Okay, he's kind of a bigger body receiver, but he's also a deep threat. So he's a guy that we might see Dwayne Haskins taking some deep shots down the field, and that's something that I'll be intrigued in GPPs. If we're trying to take one down, don't mind that route as well. But once again, guys, if you're playing a quarterback from the Steelers, you might want to just play their defense as well, kind of hoping that one side's a little bit more of a blowout. But I do kind of think the safe approach would be playing 2 defenses in kind of the captain contest. Now, hopefully they have kind of the full slate build that you can do. That would make it a lot of fun. So we'll see what DraftKings has coming out here. But that's all I have for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe. We do appreciate that. I'm beginning into a lot more preseason NFL DFS coverage here as it comes. Going to be some good stuff this year. I'm excited for it. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, let's keep cashing.